completed the floor with tie downs for the bike, the insulation with some panels here for the windows, and the entire roof. Even got a chance to put in my divider, which is my privacy curtain. I'm really happy with everything. I also got to put my eliminators in, I say eliminators, simulator. The SRS airbag simulators, one for each. As you guys remembered, I had to remove the curtain side airbags, which obviously threw a code for the front airbags, which I don't want. Obviously, I want my driver and passenger side airbags to be active and to not have any codes. So those simulators out there, I got those going too. For all this stuff, I'll put links down in the description. That way you guys can see it, right? So let's talk about it. This is probably what makes my van functional. Getting the tie downs in place was huge. I'm really happy with how everything turned out. So also getting the window shades on. So with these window shades, I didn't do a time lapse with that stuff, or with these in particular. So I still have to do that window, that window, that window, and that window. Yes, I'm going to put solid shades up to where I can just remove them. And how I remove them is, you may ask, is these are magnetic. So they have magnets on the back side that I put in. It's the same insulation setup as my wall panels and the ceiling, right? It's, again, easy cool on the outside with 1/2 inch EPS, or not EPS, but polyiso foam board, and then wrapped in, it's vinyl, but it's pleather is what I call it. It's basically fake leather. It's pretty tough stuff. So I did the same thing for all the panels, and I'm going to continue to do the same thing for the windows. This is actually really great because there is a little bit of an air gap here. So it works really well. I've driven the van, it doesn't rattle, shake around. And of course, if it does get loose, or if I have to add more magnets to the outside, then that's great. To keep it darked out or blacked out on that side, obviously you need something that's black. So I used Plastidip. So I just Plastidiped the Easy Cool, a nice light coating. So hopefully it holds up. If it doesn't, then I will add a black cloth of some sort and just go about it that way. I know the windows themselves are going to get a lot of sun, right? So that's something that I had to kind of contend with. I figured I'd give Plastidip a try. It is rubberized, so it's light, it's a light coat, and it should really do well. So moving on to the front, the headliner was such a pain in the butt. I'm not going to lie. It didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to. It doesn't look terrible, but it's also not professional. It's not great looking. As you can see, I have some sag spots. And just, you know, this pleather or fake leather or whatever, it doesn't really stretch. So maybe a vinyl shop or somebody that obviously has experience with wrapping stuff would do a much better job. I just went for it. It turned out okay. What I may end up doing is strategically getting some black thumbtacks, or just longer thumbtacks black, to strategically make it match up and kind of pull the sagginess out of it. It's not terrible. It doesn't look bad. In my opinion, it doesn't look terrible. I had to delete where the rear HVAC controls were up front. I just coated over it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes in the future. Pulling the headliner down is not that hard. It's literally just boom, boom, boom. And then these screws are covered up because of the brackets. So again, I'm not super happy with it. It doesn't look that bad. Over time, like all headliners in vehicles, you guys have probably seen them sag and such. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. My curtain rod, I'm really happy with it. The curtains are a little bit long, but I kind of like that they're a little longer because it keeps them in place. So if we'll see, I may shorten them up if I can. Yeah, I may do that. We'll see, and then add maybe something to hold them in place, but they kind of keep themselves in place with the long ends. I like this. This is a pretty good material. These are really heavy, and they work really, really well. So as you can see, the blackout curtain or the privacy curtain, I'm really happy with it. This is just a regular curtain rod I got off Amazon. It is all metal and black, and then I just used the same foam down here to fill the gap. I wrapped it and then zip tied it in place. It's not permanent, and that's fine. It fits the holes perfectly. The van was already aligned for it, so it really turned out good. I'm happy with it. It doesn't have to be anything. If I need to remove it or replace it or something like that, it'll be really easy. It's not some crazy solution that I had to do. So for the SRS or the airbag simulators, I don't know if I can see them back in here. So I had two plugs. I had one on this side and one on that side, and I just put in these airbag simulators. They just simulate an airbag being plugged in, which tricks the computer, as I mentioned before. So I'll put the link in the description for them. I essentially just plugged them into the connection. That is a universal connection. They're two tiny pins, and then just taped everything up and zip tied it and tucked it away. So that worked out really, really good. For the roof, if you guys didn't see or if I didn't talk about it, I ended up having to put in these bands right here, which I ultimately ended up painting black. This is aluminum stripping, and the reason why is because the way this roof is made, the structure itself of the roof is protruded down from the body panels, right? So it's just like here, the body is behind, and then there's a indentation. Well, the way the roof is designed to make it nice and smooth and seamless, so I essentially was only floating the foam panels over top at the edges of the skeleton. There's still a small gap. So as I tried to glue it down, the board was too rigid and it was essentially sagging, right? So I said, you know what, let's reattack this. And it couldn't have worked out more perfect, because what I ended up getting, as you can see, is I can push it in because there's an air gap there, and the Easy Cool is on the other side of that. And I just created a natural air gap. There's no rattling, there's no nothing with these panels just stay in place. Because I put the brackets in, it ended up looking great. I couldn't be more happy. And I gotta say, guys, this van is obviously, as you guys know, it's black, right? So I've had some warm days where the sun's beating in. This roof stays nice and cool. I'm really excited to see how it does in the summertime. And then of course, once I added the window panels, it just, oh man, it's the insulation. I think it's going to do well. We'll see. The temperatures have been very mild to moderate, so when the sun comes out, if it gets in the 70s, that's about all I've seen so far. But that pretty much is it, guys. I've got everything in place. I have set up for to be able to bolt bikes down, both full-size bike and my trials bike, or two full-size bikes should be able to go in here. Obviously they'll go in here right now, but once I start adding other pieces like my bed, the storage, and so on and so forth, I did go ahead and add my water containers. You can see them kind of sitting here and hanging out. This was really just kind of a test as I'm adding the D-rings. I gotta admit, guys, if you guys don't have a Rivnut tool, man, Rivnut tools are super cool. It pretty much allows me to just put, you know, a female threaded nut inside any kind of body panel, and with these already existing holes, it's been fantastic. I did the same thing up here on the roof, worked out so good. So it's allowing me to add these D-rings to bolt things down as I need to. So moving forward, I have to start on number one, ventilation. All this insulation is great, but it's not going to count for anything if I don't get some air ventilation in here. So that's got to happen. As temperatures warm up, I 100% have to get ventilation in here. After that, with ventilation, I gotta wire everything up. So I gotta start looking at power and figuring out how I'm gonna run the power. Obviously there's, you know, this is a factory harness stuff. There's some factory harness stuff I wanna clean up and wrap and wire loom it and all that jazz and tuck things away. Like I mentioned before, this is the towing, I think it's a 4-pin connector. I need to add a 7-pin so I can tow my camper with the van and have full hookups for that, for the 7-pin. So yeah, I gotta do the wiring and I gotta figure out exactly what battery and where things are gonna go and how exactly I'm gonna do the wiring. Lots to do. Ventilation and wiring next on the list. After that, it's time to start building storage and storage structures and the bed. That's kind of the last thing, simply because right now I can bolt a lot of things to the body of the van. I strap it down and I have a cot that I can use if I want to go camping, and I have water. So I mean, a lot of things I can just kind of throw in here. So now that the bike can be bolted down and I'm starting to get insulation up and everything, some things are moving along really well. So gotta have ventilation. That's the next on the list. And I have to get power and all that jazz that goes along with that. So after that, man, it's moving along. I'm gonna, you know, more stuff coming, more refinement, everything that I'm testing and trying. So hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a huge update because I just did insulation, the roof, you know, the whole floor, and bolting everything down and all that all in one. So this is a pretty good update. I try to keep things as modular as possible. So we'll see how it goes in the future. All right, guys, get out there, get on 2 wheels, and ride a dirt bike. This is Accelerate once again, signing off.